July 27, 1944, Normandy, near Villedieu-les-Poêles. German tank commander Ernst Barkmann lined up his Panther's gun on what appeared to be another easy target, a Sherman tank at 600 meters. Perfect range. He pulled the trigger. The 75mm shell struck the American tank's turret dead center. But instead of the expected explosion, only sparks flew as the round ricocheted harmlessly away. "Impossible," Barkmann muttered, reloading. The second shot, another ricochet. The third, same result. The American tank turned its turret. One shot. Barkmann's proud Panther, terror of Allied armor, was pierced clean through. He survived, but that moment haunted him forever. His crew didn't yet know they'd encountered America's secret weapon, the M4A3E2, the tank crews simply called Jumbo. By summer 1944, German tankers lived by one rule. Shermans were easy prey. Statistics backed this confidence. For every German tank destroyed, the Americans lost 3.5 on average. But in June 1944, at the Fisher Tank Arsenal in Grand Blanc, Michigan, production began on a machine that would shatter German assumptions. The Jumbo wasn't just another Sherman variant. It was the answer to bloody lessons learned in Africa and Italy, where American crews paid with their lives for every meter gained. Weight, 38 tons versus the standard 30. Front armor, 102mm instead of 51. Side armor, 76mm replacing 38. Colonel Gladion Barnes, the project's chief engineer, wrote, "We're not building a new tank. We're building a shield for our boys." The genesis came in December 1943. In Detroit's Fisher Body Division office, Major General Barnes stared at photographs of knocked-out Shermans from Tunisia, Sicily, and Italy. The penetration patterns told a clear story. 60% of hits to the front, 20% to the turret. Next to him sat William Knudsen, former GM president. "We need a breakthrough tank," Barnes said. "A machine that goes first and takes the hits." "We can reinforce Sherman's armor," Knudsen replied, "but weight will increase by 8 tons. Barnes calculated silently. The standard 500 horsepower Ford engine already struggled with 30 tons. 8 more would drop speed to 35 kilometers per hour. "Do it," he finally ordered. "Better a slow tank than dead crew." On March 5, 1944, Aberdeen Proving Ground hosted the ultimate test. 4 tanks lined up, a standard Sherman, the new Jumbo prototype, a captured Panther, and a Tiger. Colonel David Eisenhower, the Supreme Commander's cousin, supervised as German guns fired at the Jumbo. First shot, Panther's 75mm from 500 meters. Result, 38mm dent, armor held. Second shot, 300 meters. Depth, 67mm, still no penetration. Third shot, Tiger's dreaded 88mm from 700 meters. The shell penetrated only where frontal armor thinned to 76mm at the edge. Eisenhower's report was decisive. The M4A3E2 demonstrated exceptional resilience. Recommend immediate production. June 1, 1944. Fisher Tank Arsenal came alive. Worker Joseph Kowalski, a Polish immigrant, switched on his welding torch at 6 a.m., beginning assembly of the first production Jumbo. The factory employed 890 people in 3 shifts, 40% of them women. 19-year-old welder Rosie Montgomery recalled, "We understood every tank meant lives saved. We worked 12-hour days without complaint. Production ran at furious pace. First week, 18 tanks. Second week, 31. By June's end, 127 vehicles. Quality control was merciless. Every armor plate faced trial by German PaK-38 anti-tank gun. If steel cracked, the entire batch returned to the foundry. Tragedy struck June 15th when an acetylene explosion killed 3 workers. Production stopped for 1 day. Plant Director Benjamin Keller gathered the crew. Every day of delay costs lives in Normandy. We don't have the right to stop. They didn't. By July 31st, the 254th and final Jumbo rolled off the line. Serial number 4207654. Someone chalked Last of the Mohicans on its turret. Production complete in just 2 months. July 18, 1944. The first Jumbos reached Normandy. Sergeant Lester Johnson opened the hatch of his new tank, Cobra King, one of 10 Jumbos assigned to break German defenses near St. Lo. At 14:37, a German PaK-40 opened fire from 400 meters. The shell struck Cobra King's frontal armor. Inside, only a dull thud. "AP incoming!" Johnson shouted. Gunner Corporal David Smith returned fire. The 75mm shell obliterated the enemy gun. From the right, another PaK-40 fired, hitting the vulnerable side armor. The tank shuddered, but held. "Turn right, show them the front," Johnson ordered. The next 3 shots bounced off like pebbles. Major James Leach wrote in his log, "The M4A3E2 performed brilliantly. It's not firepower, it's the psychological effect. Germans can't believe their shells are bouncing off." The confrontation with Ernst Barkmann's Panther proved the Jumbo's worth. When Barkmann's shells failed to penetrate, the Jumbo's return fire targeted his running gear, shattering the drive system. The Panther, forced to turn, exposed its thin side armor. The next shot detonated ammunition. 4 crew members escaped the inferno. Captured radio operator Kurt Meyer testified. The commander was in shock, repeating, "This is impossible," over and over. Not every engagement ended in victory. During the breakout at Mortain, a Sturmgeschütz assault gun ambushed Sergeant William McBride's Jumbo Fearless at 50 meters. The shell pierced 76mm side armor. Fire erupted. Loader John Kelly and radio operator Paul Anderson died instantly. McBride and 2 others escaped through flames. But even in destruction, the Jumbo had served its purpose, clearing the path for infantry. December 16, 1944, the Ardennes. German forces launched their desperate winter offensive. Sergeant Robert Poole commanded the Jumbo Fury First Lady, covering the 4th Armored Division's retreat. 2 King Tigers from Schwer Panzerabteilung 506 appeared. Poole knew his 75mm gun couldn't penetrate their frontal armor even at point-blank range. The first 88mm shell from the King Tiger's massive gun slammed into Fury's front plate. Armor cracked but held. "Smoke screen," Poole ordered. White phosphorus shells created concealment. The 38-ton Jumbo crashed through forest, crushing an 88mm anti-tank gun position before escaping. 11 hits marked the front armor, 7 more on the turret. But Fury First Lady survived. March 7, 1945, provided the Jumbo's finest hour. Lieutenant Karl Timmermann's tank led the charge across the Ludendorff Bridge at Remagen, the last intact Rhine crossing. German demolition charges partially failed. Through smoke and flame, Timmermann's Jumbo became the first American tank across the Rhine, opening Germany's heart to invasion. The Jumbo's final Tiger kill came April 14, 1945, in Hemmelburg. Private Clarence Smoyer faced a Tiger at 25 meters. Both fired simultaneously. The Tiger's 88mm shell lodged in the Jumbo's 178mm thick gun mantlet. Smoyer's upgraded 76mm gun found the turret ring joint. The explosion launched the Tiger's turret 10 meters. No crew survived. Statistics tell the Jumbo's story. Of 254 produced, 51 destroyed completely, 89 seriously damaged, 114 survived with minor damage. Crew casualties: 187 killed, 342 wounded. But survival rates reveal the truth. 71% of Jumbo crews survived direct hits versus 38% in standard Shermans. Tankman Martin Belk recalled, "When an 88 hit, the tank jumped like it was alive. Everything flew around inside. But we lived. In a regular Sherman, we'd have burned." General Omar Bradley reflected, "If we'd had 2,540 instead of 254, we'd have ended the war 3 months earlier and saved 50,000 lives." Today, only 4 authentic Jumbos survive. One stands at Fort Benning, bearing 31 shell impacts, each dent representing lives saved. Cobra King rests at Fort Knox. A third belongs to a French collector still operational. The fourth, recovered from the Mosel River in 2003, undergoes restoration in Germany. 254 machines from 49,000 Shermans built, just 0.5%. Yet these few tanks led assaults that cracked the Siegfried Line, first entered German cities, covered retreats in the Ardennes. The M4A3E2 wasn't perfect. It sacrificed speed for armor, maneuverability for protection, comfort for survival. German ace Otto Carius, credited with 150 tank kills, admitted, "When we saw those heavy Shermans, we knew there'd be no easy victory. Either flank them or pull back." But for those who fought in Jumbos, who sheltered behind that armor, who followed them into battle, this tank remained forever a symbol. Sometimes to win you need not be fastest or strongest. Sometimes it's enough to take the hit and keep moving. Step by step, meter by meter, from Normandy to the Elbe. Heavy, slow, nearly blind, but indestructible. The Jumbo, the tank that refused to die.